Imagine arriving in a country full of hope, ready to build a new life, and then suddenly feeling uncertainty and fear because of the rules you don't fully understand. For many immigrants, that fear has become real in recent months as U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services steps up its enforcement efforts. Today, we're going to take a careful look at the latest end-of-year report from USCIS and what it tells us about the impact of the government's recent immigration crackdown. This is important whether you are already living in the United States or planning to come here, because these changes could directly affect your future. USCIS has released detailed statistics and analysis showing a significant increase in investigations, application reviews, and enforcement measures throughout the year. While some people see these changes as a necessary step for national security, many immigrants feel stressed about how these policies will impact them personally. To fully understand the implications, we need to look at the numbers, the processes, and the real stories behind these figures. First, let's discuss what USCIS does. The agency is responsible for managing lawful immigration into the United States, which includes reviewing and approving visas, work permits, green cards, and naturalization applications. In addition to these responsibilities, USCIS also has the authority to enforce immigration laws and detect fraudulent or unsafe applications. This dual role of service and enforcement is why the end-of-year review is so revealing. It gives insight into both the agency's efficiency and its regulatory impact. This year, the report indicates that USCIS increased the rigor of its application reviews significantly. Applications for green cards and citizenship were subject to more thorough background checks, interviews, and documentation requests than in previous years. For example, where applicants might have previously received an approval within 6 months, the new review standards mean that approvals can take 9 to 12 months, depending on the complexity of the case. While this may feel frustrating, the intention, according to USCIS, is to ensure that only fully qualified applicants are granted entry or status adjustments, thereby protecting the integrity of the immigration system. Now, let's break down what this means for different groups of immigrants. For those applying for employment-based visas, the stricter scrutiny means your employer may need to provide more supporting evidence to prove your qualifications and the legitimacy of your employment. For family-based applications, the agency is placing extra emphasis on verifying relationships to prevent fraud. This can involve additional documentation, such as joint financial records, affidavits from friends and family, and sometimes interviews with both parties. It's important to know that while these measures can feel invasive, they are intended to protect the system and those who are genuinely eligible. The report also highlights an increase in application denials and requests for evidence, or RFEs. An RFE is a notice from USCIS asking for additional information before a decision can be made. Last year, about 20% of applications received an RFE. This year, that number jumped to over 30%. What this tells us is that applicants need to be especially diligent. Missing a document, not explaining something clearly, or failing to submit requested evidence in time can result in a denial. But it also means that those who are thorough and well-prepared are more likely to succeed. A recent case illustrates this perfectly. Maria, an applicant from Mexico seeking naturalization, received an RFE requesting additional proof of her residency and work history. By promptly providing her pay stubs, tax documents, and a detailed residency timeline, she successfully completed her application despite the tougher scrutiny. Another key point from the USCIS report is the focus on fraudulent documentation and misrepresentation. Cases involving false information, whether intentional or accidental, are being identified and investigated more quickly than before. For immigrants, this emphasizes the importance of accuracy and honesty in every application. Even small mistakes can trigger delays or denials. For example, a small discrepancy in dates on an employment verification form compared to a tax document can raise red flags. The USCIS approach is not intended to punish immigrants, but to maintain trust in the system and prevent abuse. The end-of-year review also underscores the broader impact on processing times. For example, naturalization interviews, which were once scheduled within 6 months of submitting an application, now often take 8 to 10 months. Green card approvals through family sponsorship can take longer as well. For applicants, this means planning ahead is critical. Understanding that delays may occur helps manage expectations and allows time to prepare for interviews, gather additional documents, and maintain legal status during the waiting period. It's also important to highlight the human side of these statistics. Behind every application is a story of someone seeking stability, opportunity, or safety in the United States. Take, for example, Ahmed, a young professional from Syria who moved to the United States to work in the technology sector. When he received an RFE requesting additional proof of his professional credentials, he was anxious and unsure how to respond. With guidance from an immigration attorney, Ahmed compiled detailed documents from his employer and educational institutions. His application was eventually approved, allowing him to continue contributing to the U.S. economy while securing his legal status. Stories like Ahmed's illustrate that even in a more rigorous environment, success is achievable with careful preparation and guidance. Another aspect highlighted in the report is the geographic distribution of enforcement and review actions. USCIS offices in regions with high immigration volumes, such as California, Texas, and New York, experienced a higher rate of scrutiny compared to smaller offices in other states. This means that where you apply can sometimes influence processing times and the number of RFEs you might receive. While applicants cannot change their USCIS office, being aware of these patterns can help you plan and anticipate potential delays. For students and temporary workers, the report indicates that applications for H-1B visas, OPT extensions, and other work permits also face more detailed scrutiny. Employers are now required to provide more evidence of the legitimacy of the role and the need for a foreign worker. This makes it crucial for applicants to maintain accurate records of their education, work experience, and employment contracts. Keeping documents organized and up to date can make a significant difference in avoiding delays or denials. The USCIS end-of-year review also notes an increase in site visits and audits of employers who sponsor foreign workers. These visits are intended to verify that employers comply with labor laws and that the sponsored employees are performing the roles described in their applications. For immigrants relying on employer sponsorship, this emphasizes the importance of choosing reputable employers and maintaining open communication regarding documentation and compliance. It's also worth noting that the stricter approach does not mean all applications are rejected. In fact, the approval rates remain high for applicants who follow the rules, provide complete documentation, and respond promptly to RFEs. The key takeaway is that preparation, organization, and professional guidance have become more important than ever. Working with an immigration attorney or a knowledgeable advisor can help ensure that your application meets all the new standards and increases your chances of success. For those concerned about delays, it is also possible to track applications online through the USCIS portal. This allows applicants to see the current status of their case, whether an RFE has been issued or if an interview is scheduled. Staying informed and proactive can reduce anxiety and help applicants respond quickly to any requests, keeping the process moving as efficiently as possible. In addition, the report emphasizes the importance of understanding the different types of visas and benefits available. For example, applicants seeking asylum or refugee status, or those applying for family reunification, may have different documentation requirements and timelines. Being aware of these distinctions can help avoid mistakes that could result in unnecessary delays or complications. Throughout the review, USCIS underscores that the stricter measures are intended to protect both the security of the country and the integrity of the immigration system. By reducing fraudulent applications, verifying eligibility more rigorously, and conducting thorough interviews, the agency aims to ensure that those who are admitted are truly qualified. For immigrants, this may feel challenging, but it also means that legitimate applicants are more likely to have their applications approved without complications. Let's also consider the impact of these policies on naturalization. Becoming a U.S. citizen is a goal for many immigrants, and the report notes that the citizenship process now includes more detailed background checks and interview questions. While this can increase anxiety for some, it is designed to ensure that applicants meet all legal and ethical requirements before taking the oath of allegiance. Preparing in advance, studying the civics questions, and gathering all necessary documents can help applicants feel confident and ready for the interview. In summary, the USCIS end-of-year review shows that the agency is operating under a more rigorous framework than ever before. Application reviews are more detailed, RFEs and denials have increased, and enforcement actions are more visible. However, for those who are careful, honest, and well-prepared, success is still within reach. The key is to plan ahead, understand the requirements, and seek guidance when needed. For anyone watching this who is currently applying for a visa, green card, or citizenship, remember that the process may take longer than before, but being organized and proactive is your best defense. Collect all necessary documentation, respond promptly to requests from USCIS, and consider working with a qualified immigration attorney. These steps can make a real difference in navigating the new, more rigorous system. Thank you for taking the time to watch this update on USCIS's end-of-year review. I hope this explanation helps clarify the changes and shows that while the environment is stricter, there is still a clear path forward for immigrants who are prepared and informed. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to Legal Focus USA for more immigration updates, step-by-step guidance, and trustworthy legal insights. Staying informed is the best way to protect your status and build a secure future in the United States.